Lee Summit is your destination for big city vibes and small town charm.
Head to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market, where local meets fresh. Then grab a cup of coffee and discover a variety of shops and boutiques just around the corner. Continue the fun in downtown Lee Summit at a retro arcade bar. Discover your new beer at one of our 6 locally owned breweries. Cool off with some handcrafted cocktails at happy hour. End the night with live music and good company. Lee Summit, Missouri.
Hello, Lee Summit. I'm Laura, and this is your flash briefing for the week of March 31st. Join District 3 Council members Cinda Rader and Mayor Pro Tem Bethel Lopez for a town hall on April 3rd at the training facility at the Lee Summit Police Department, located at 10 Northeast Tudor Road. Receive an update on major projects and visit with department representatives. This is an open forum. If you're unable to attend, the meeting will be live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. Sign up for the next Discovery Series. Learn about the art and science of natural dyeing with Liz Bonney of Harvestry by Hand. Participants will be guided through 2 techniques for naturally dyeing silk fabric using locally foraged and grown plants. Reserve your spot for this free event on the city's website at cityofls.net. Volunteer for Stream Team and help protect our local stream side habitats by removing litter and debris from streams within the city's parks. This event will take place on April 19th from 10 a.m. to noon at Deer Valley Park. Trash bags and gloves are provided. Student and Scout community service hours are available. Volunteers must register and sign a waiver before the event. Learn more on the city's website. And stay safe and informed with LS Aware, the city's free alert system designed to keep residents and businesses informed of emergencies such as weather events and road closures and certain non-emergency events. The city can quickly send messages via phone, text, or email depending on the preference set up by the user. Users choose how to be notified and what information they wish to receive. Sign up at lsaware.net. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
This is the best place to work.
I love working here.
I feel very blessed.
I love it here.
I look forward to coming to work every day, being a part of this team.
Like a family away from home.
Where everyone feels like everybody knows their name.
The city that supports you, we see that with our benefits.
A pension, vacation days, job security.
Being able to be heard.
We feel valued, we feel respected.
Lee Summit is a very progressive city.
It's growing, it's thriving.
We have this drive towards not just doing a job, but doing it with a spirit of excellence.
I had the opportunity to continue to grow, regardless of 30 plus years doing this kind of work.
It's more than just dollars and cents.
We're here really to give back.
Providing a service to better our community.
To go out and serve people.
To be a part of something bigger than yourself. If I would have known what I know now, years ago, I would have been here much sooner.
Smith Hat Company is coming to downtown Lee Summit. Purchase a variety of hats, including cowboy or cowgirl hats, or unleash your creativity and design a one-of-a-kind custom hat, choosing from premium materials, unique embellishments, and expert craftsmanship. Smith Hat Company is hanging its hat here in spring 2025. Summit Play Village is coming to South Lee Summit near Raintree. The indoor children's playground will be for children 8 and under to promote creativity, explore family-friendly activities, and have fun. Summit Play Village is set to open in April 2025. Street food sensation turned fast casual hit Dave's Hot Chicken is bringing the heat to Lee Summit. Specializing in Nashville-style hot chicken and serving tenders and sliders, Dave's Hot Chicken will be arriving to Summit Woods in summer 2025. Lee Summit is getting 3 ice cream shops across the city. Howdy Homemade Ice Cream will be scooping its way into the Chapel Ridge Shopping Center. Howdy Homemade creates a place where everyone belongs, a shop dedicated to creating jobs for people with disabilities. The amazing ice cream served by amazing people will be coming in summer 2025. Brewster's Ice Cream will serve Summit Woods Crossing with over 24 fresh, rotating flavors made daily. The shop offers 150 homemade ice cream flavors, including sherbets and sorbets, as well as ice cream cakes and pies. Brewster's Ice Cream is coming in summer 2025. Summit Woods Crossing is also getting a Cold Stone Creamery. The ice cream parlor serves fresh, made-to-order customizable ice cream mixed on a frozen granite stone. Cold Stone Creamery is coming in summer 2025.
When I was about 9 years old,
My mother promised me that she would buy me a little black poodle for my birthday. The poodle was here in Lee Summit. We lived in Independence. I had never been to Lee Summit before. And the funniest thing when I got here, I just thought to myself, I want to live in Lee Summit someday. So in 1975, we moved here and we bought a little house in Briarcroft for $28,000. We started having children after that. We wanted to become part of this community.
Call regular session number 61 to order. Roll call.
Mayor Rhodes, he kept seeing me show up at the council meetings and he said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Well, I want to know more about what's going on with the city." I was asked to be on the tax review board.
To order the Lee Summit Planning Commission.
Then I applied to be on Planning Commission and I spent 4 years there. But I said, if I dip my toe in the water with planning and I love it, I'm going to try for council.
Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Cindy Rader,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
2024.
on the 16th day of April 2024. Thank you, Mayor. So then going along with what Councilmember Carlisle said, we just get back into the room and we hammer it out. You know, we sit on the dais, right? And that's kind of one of the most intimidating things that you do is like being out there in front of people and being worried about, you know, saying the right thing or not saying the right thing. I want to make the right decision. I want to say things that will be impactful, that will be influential, that will help our city more. Most people know this on the dais. I am very impassioned about housing. It's partly because I've done real estate for 30 years, but it's not because I want to sell more houses. It's because we have a need, a tremendous need here in Lee Summit and really all over the country. There are a lot of people that want to come to Lee Summit. They want to live here, they want to buy homes here. I'm excited to get more attainable homes, start bringing young families, providing senior housing, workforce housing, all those things that we need if we're going to continue to grow and become bigger and better. We're really in a good place for the future, but we need to continue bringing people in to be our future leaders. The young people that will be coming to live here, stay here, have a stakeholder in the community, building businesses here. I built a business here. There's other people that want to come here and live and start. It's just important for people to always be involved in the city. It makes us a better city.
It's extremely rewarding overall. Just the fact of working with other council people and other volunteer commission members that are so involved and care so much about making this community better. It sort of kind of lifts your own spirits by being involved in that kind of environment with other people like that. For many years, I was a typical resident, raising a family, going to work, in many cases leaving the city for employment, and went through a leadership class through the chamber, learned a lot about our city and learned about all the great amenities and resources we have, and was asked if I was interested in volunteering on a commission. I said yes, and kind of the rest is history. I've just completed my third year on City Council, and so looking forward to finishing strong with this first term and look forward to continuing to serve this community. My thing is there's so many talented people in this community that believe in so many different initiatives. And for me, one of the big reasons why I decided to run was that as a residential taxpayer, I felt that we can always increase the business tax base of our community. And that's kind of been a big part of my involvement on City Council, is to encourage and promote and make it easier for development to occur, commercial development to occur in our community, to increase that tax base and diversify that tax base. And so I think we've made significant strides the last few years. We've had a collective great group of council members and mayor where we've really truly accomplished a lot of things that there were somewhat kind of stumbling blocks for previous councils. Working new contracts with our union personnel, firefighters and police was a big accomplishment for us. The fact that we were able to push along some initiatives like the downtown renovation for
a market, a farmer's market. It's been a great experience to be part of those meetings, to help nudge it, and to the point where we have a developer involved is just a great feeling to have been part of that. And others, I mean, I think our park system, we've continued to support our park system to add a new community center, for example, that we negotiated with the Metropolitan Community Colleges. So I'm proud of all those things and just being able to help make a difference in many aspects. I love definitely spending time with my family. We have 3 daughters and they're all fairly active in some in sports and other extracurricular activities. But for me, I love being outdoors. I love the trails, I love riding my bike, and I love playing golf. And we have awesome amenities and options within our community to have that kind of a lifestyle. This June will be 25 years that my wife and I have lived in Lee Summit and have raised 3 daughters in this community. I know this city has incredible, talented residents that come from all different walks of life, very diverse group of families in our community that it's so rewarding to be involved on a government level or some kind of civic commission or committee that in many cases you get out of it more than you put in. And I truly live by that and I believe that.
Everybody settled in? Yeah? This is a great crowd. Thank you all for being here. I'm Bethel Lopez, one of 2 council representatives you have in the 3rd District of Lee Summit. Councilmember Cinder Rader, my colleague, will say a few words here in a second. Want to kick it off and talk to several of you here a second ago, and Cinda has as well. And I have to admit, I've done multiple of these town hall meetings, and I think this is the most packed room we've had, I think, in quite a few years, so thank you. And as we get started, I also want to acknowledge you all make this happen tonight, but if it wasn't for our staff, our city manager, Mark Dunning, standing back here to the left, Mark and our staff, our team, a lot of our department heads are back in the back. We have Chief Snyder, our department, back there, and representatives from all the key departments for our city. And this format has changed a little bit since we started initially. And I'll go over the agenda quickly, and just so everybody kind of has an idea of how this is going to happen tonight. But Cinda and I will provide updates on things that are going on within our 3rd District, and that's the main intent of tonight. However, there's a lot of cool things going on across the whole city. And so we'll touch upon some of those as well. And we also have Third bullet point here, the department heads. A lot of times when we have residents, citizens that come to these events, these town hall meetings, you all have specific questions that has to do with your specific block or cul-de-sac. You know, how can you get a sidewalk installed in your cul-de-sac or your block? And those are specific questions that Councilmember Rader and I may or may not be able to answer. So we have the experts back there, and they're here to answer all the technical, in the weeds type questions. So we appreciate all of them being here as well. So I'll kick it off, and I'll let Councilmember Rader, we're gonna kind of divvy up and talk a little bit about, again, the projects. She's gonna talk about some big projects that are going on within our district. Our district, let me show you real quick. Our district is District 3 in yellow. Number one, geographically, that's a very large area, okay? Also, from the commercial to residential mix-up of our district and institutional type facilities, such as this one we're sitting in right now, I think ours is the most unique from that perspective. If you think about it, we start way up north. Some people out south call it the Northland, but that's not really the Northland. It's the Lakewood area. But along 291, you come over to Chipman, and we cross over all the way over to Pryor, where you see all the new development, all the new retail centers that are going up in that area with all the cool restaurants and shops. But we also have the airport and all the commercial that's going on around here. And so I think compared to the other districts, most of the other districts have truly more residential in nature, and maybe some commercial there in their district. So we're pretty fortunate, and so therefore, as colleagues, we tend to work with these departments more regularly because of the diversity of the type of properties that we have in our district. So I think that's just important to point out. And I want to welcome my colleague who is joining us for her first town hall meeting, so you all be nice to her. Councilmember Rader, and she'll go ahead and talk about a couple projects.
Okay, we want to switch this out. That's up to you.
Yes.
I think our next step is, I want to say first of all that District 3 is the best district. Okay.
Raise your hand if you believe that.
District pride. Yes. Okay. So we're going to talk about our council goals. And so in October of 2024, we hid ourselves away for a 2-day retreat. It was really fun, and it was interesting, and it was basically a brainstorming that we did in order to determine what priorities that we wanted to address in the next 24 and 25. And we came up with 4. If you've ever gone to a goal-setting workshop, you know there's rocks and then gravel and sand. Well, we came up with our 4, we did all that, but we came up with 4 big rocks that we wanted to work on in this time frame. And they were beautification, housing, solid waste, and stormwater. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, I wrote down some things that I wanted to convey to you guys tonight about what's going on with our beautification initiative and housing. So first of all, I think most of us share the common desire that we want Lee Summit to be a beautiful city free of litter and debris. So over the past few years, because we've seen more trash be on the roads, and you guys have probably noticed that, unfortunately, local church groups, scouts, clubs, and volunteers have teamed up with the city to participate in street teams which tackle trash on city-owned streets, and our stream team which addresses stream side cleanup. So you can imagine that if there's trash in the fields and it rains, it's going to go down into our beautiful streams and pollute those as well. While the city manages local streets and roads, Missouri highways fall under the MoDOT jurisdiction, which presents challenges for our local cleanup efforts because we don't have jurisdiction over those highways, and so we're not, because of liability issues, they won't let us necessarily come along there and clean the highways. So to support these efforts, MoDOT this year has come up with a No Mo Trash, that's their slogan, for a campaign to engage businesses, schools, and organizations to join in combating litter. This initiative is part of an ongoing collaboration between MoDOT and our Public Works Department. So I gotta brag about our Public Works because they've been working with MoDOT for some time to try to solve this problem. It's not something that just showed up yesterday. And we also have a cultural commission. We have boards and commissions, as you know, at the city. And so that is another thing that the cultural commission takes on, and that's beautification of our city. So they are working on that as well to solve those problems. Okay, has anybody got any questions about that? About litter or debris? Does anybody want to ask a question about that? We can get that answered now. Okay, then I'm going to move on to housing. So I want to tell you a little bit of background just from a real estate perspective about the housing challenges that we have. So as we know, housing right now is a critical issue. It's not just here in Lee Summit, but it's nationwide. And it's mostly because of the affordability factor, but there are several factors that contribute to this. And I want to tell you, if you don't, many of you may know, but I just want to give you a little bit of a framework. So right now we have low inventory, which means we don't have enough homes for people to buy, that want to buy. You may not have heard that, you may have heard something else, but that's the case is there's not enough homes for people to buy, especially affordable homes. And builders aren't building them. And so we also have high costs, which are the prices of land is high, material costs are high, labor is high, infrastructure, our sewers and roads are high, and regulatory costs that continue to drive up the cost of homes. Now, interest rates do impact the ability to buy, and as I thought about it today when I was writing all this, it's kind of like it does impact buyers, but it probably impacts builders that are getting loans for homes more than it does even the buyer, because those are the costs that they have to take on when they're building, and their long-term costs, because if they don't sell that house very quickly, they continue to pay that interest rate, which they therefore pass on to the consumer. And then, of course, there's just the straight-up affordability factor. Now, many potential homeowners, or buyers, I should say, that want to buy cannot buy a home that's the average price range in Lee Summit overall is $372,000, and new construction is probably $459 to $600, somewhere in there. So you can imagine if you're a first-time buyer, you may have kids that are in college that are coming back and they want to live in the hometown, and they can't afford to buy. So these are the challenges that we recognize and that we're working on very diligently to try to solve. So here's kind of some of the things that we've done so far. We have revised some of our zoning ordinances to allow smaller lot sizes, thereby increasing the number of homes in a given area. The old rule was you could get 3 70 by 120 lot homes in a 1 acre plot. So with the smaller lot sizes, you might be able to get 4 or 5, depending on if it's a standalone single family or if it's townhomes. Of course, there's going to be more than that. I loved this one. This is one that we did and we worked on, was has anybody ever heard of an accessory dwelling unit? Okay, great. So what we did was we came up with the ordinances and regulations on the ADUs, that's what we call them, so that people could, and this is how it works. So we did this last year or the year before. We had a property owner down in downtown Lee Summit. And downtown Lee Summit is a little bit higher density down there. And so this lady came forward and she says, I want my parents to live with me, close by. We need them to be close by. Well, she had a big enough lot that they could actually build another little house for her parents. That was an ADU. And so it allowed of course the cost was quite less because the land was already there. They didn't have to pay for the land. And they were able to allow the seniors, which is another thing that we have to talk about and think about, is how we're going to get our seniors moving out of their homes and into homes. It allowed them to be able to move in there and be able to afford this smaller home. So also we're exploring alternative housing styles such as townhomes, duplexes, and condos, and new innovative construction methods, which include a name, panelized construction. We are considering the revitalization of older neighborhoods here in Lee Summit, and then we are engaging in a public outreach and education to raise awareness of these challenges and offer solutions to people to find the path to home ownership. So we are actively engaged in helping our citizens with more affordable homes, more options for our seniors and our young people and anybody who wants to come and live in our beautiful town. It is a heavy lifting, but we're committed to making it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take it away.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The senior citizen, the small homes, is that ordinance overridden by HOA bylaws?
And so you mean when you're building a senior development?
On property, I mean would they let you do that in Lakeland? Huh?
Are you talking about an ADU or are you talking about restrictions for age restrictions?
No, you just talked about senior citizens.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a senior citizen.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a list.
Me too.
No, is that overwritten, that ordinance?
So,
Is that overwritten by the?
so Bob,
You know, but that just changed.
yeah, the way it works, Bob, like if someone lives in an AIDS defined property, like a senior living facility, then there's certain codes and ordinances that apply to those type of properties. So they have their own set of rules within it, and I have Mr. Dunning come up to get in the weeds about it. But as far as regular zoning, HOAs still have to adhere to the city's ordinances on any kind of zoning.
And maybe coming at this from maybe a different angle. So the way it works is the city's codes and ordinances are the bare minimum, right? If HOAs have higher regulations or more restrictions, then they enforce those, right? But throughout the city, we'll establish the base regulations. So for ADUs, if the city says you can have accessory dwelling units within R1 zoning districts, single-family neighborhoods, then they're allowed. Now, if your HOA says we don't allow sheds, accessory structures, ADUs, then that's the HOA's rules, right? Is that kind of what you're getting at, Bob? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, couple house. Yes, sir.
Crossing over, solar panels, kind of beautification, housing issue, falls in both those categories.
I wouldn't say technically it's beautification. Mark might need you on that one. I know some people like the way they look, some people don't like the way they look. But it is a zoning issue.
And again, yeah, it's subdivision. It's going to be subdivision HOAs because a lot of them don't allow for that. Now, I know there's federal regulations that are going on with that, and there's some arguments and going on with, even though a subdivision says you can't have them in there, the Fed guys are saying you can, but I haven't found any instances whereby the feds won over the subdivision regulations. So that helps.
Sure.
It seems like we're getting a lot of apartments in District 3 and a lot of other ones. Is there some formula that you guys are looking at as to how many single-family homes versus apartment complexes? And what's the impact for the future as we kind of go down with a lot of apartments?
Yeah, so apartments is kind of a question we get asked almost on a weekly basis on City Council. And absolutely, there are formulas or data that city staff looks at on a regular basis. And as of the last time they conducted an audit, we still have over 70% single-family homes versus multifamily. And so that's data that we've collected. Is that correct, the percentage?
But I think we want to make sure that we're staying balanced with our housing options.
And yes, absolutely. We don't sit around. I say this often, and I'm always very transparent about that because we get questions about that often. I assure you that as your representatives, we don't sit behind the council chambers in our conference room trying to figure out, let's get more apartments in Lee Summit. We just a lot of times reply to what the market demands, right? And so, but we do watch it as a guide. And Miss Amy.
Oh, I even got a microphone. Hi, my name's Amy. I'm the Interim Director of Development. That's a great question. So we are right now about 70% single family or traditional family homes and 30% multifamily. You might be seeing right now, last year, we had a lot of zonings come through for multifamily. So what you're seeing being constructed right now might be more the multifamily side, but we're actually permitting, and our permits for single family homes doubled from last year. And the other thing with multifamily is it usually tends to be up closer to the roads. So you see it more when you're driving by and going shopping or going to stores and things like that, as opposed to our single family home developments are usually tucked back away further from the roadways as well. Yes?
Starter homes for new families, is that in the plan?
Absolutely. That was one of the things that we did to address to help with, the first time home buyer and things like that, those small homes. My first home was 800 square feet in size. I didn't even have a dishwasher. I missed it. It was a very cute little house. But yes, so we went and updated our code, as Councilmember Rader mentioned earlier last year, where we reduced the lot size by down to that 35-foot lot width, and that helps to encourage, to tell developers, hey, there's opportunities in places where you can build those types of homes if you'd like to come to Lee Summit and build that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that the ratio is only a guide, it's not a hard fast rule for 70%?
So as far as setting policy on it, as a council, we've not addressed it as a policy. And it's a good question, but we do not have a policy on the percentage. We don't, we use guides and we use data from the market. And there's other communities, like on the other side of the state line, that, believe it or not, are way higher, or the percentage of multifamily is way higher than we are here. So we use those as guides. We definitely want to keep a balance in our community, but we don't hold policy on it.
On that, Mr. Lopez, I've heard that Overland Park, Lenexa have like over 50% of their housing units are multifamily, and we're at 70%. So, and I know they have lower taxes, especially after these last. So I'm questioning why are we doing that to maybe lower our taxes?
Yeah, so we won't get into percentages debating on across the state line, but Amy does have more information.
Actually, so some of the municipalities that you mentioned are actually 60% or 65% multifamily, 35% single family. We are around the opposite of that. The 70% that we refer to is actually 70% single family home ownership or homes here. So that's where we are. Our comprehensive plan that we did, the Ignite comprehensive plan, that was a very robust community engagement plan, helped us create some thresholds and things that we established with the community that they wanted to see for housing diversity styles and types. And then we also look at vacancy rates and other items too.
Thank you, Amy. In the interest of time, if I could, this is an important topic, and we don't want to shortchange it, but we want to keep you all here to a limited time and not keep you here all night. We have other information we want to share with you. Amy and our development team is in the back. If you have specific questions, like I said earlier, about any one of these topics, we don't want to ignore anything. We want to answer every question fully transparent, okay? Also, these cards are on the table here. If we don't answer a question during this process, or even when you go back in the back, take one of these cards, please, and you can list your information and post your question, put your contact information. You will get a response, whether it's from one of us two or the appropriate department person, okay? So, but we do want to keep it moving forward, and we don't want to shortchange the information we want to share with you on a broader scale. We know there are specific items that are a little bit more near and dear to each one of us, but we do have a little format that we want to keep going and get you all out of here before the storms come in. So if that's okay, we'll proceed. So the other thing that Amy brought up is that these goals that Councilmember Rader started with, and I'm going to address the third and the fourth here very briefly. These goals are not just goals. We did have a 2-day retreat as a staff, but it's not stuff that we're just coming up with from pie in the sky, making up on our own as we go. It's information that comes out of many strategic plans. The Ignite strategic plan is one that we use as a council as a guide. And it's not just our ideas as your representatives in each one of our districts. There's a lot of public input. A lot of residents from all over the city, people from our district and the 3rd district participated in the Ignite strategic plan, but also the comprehensive land use plan that was also conducted by the commission, planning commission, thank you, the planning commission. So the strategic plan for the city is coordinated with the comprehensive land use plan as well. And we're going to talk about the airport here in a second as well. all of these large initiatives have been very strategic in how we plan for this growth. So specifically as it relates to these goals that Councilmember Rader and I are talking about, our goals were derived, as she said, we prioritize, in management and strategic planning processes, use symbolic rocks and pebbles and sand. So we try to tackle the bigger rocks. These are bigger rocks that we heard from all of you all as residents, as our fellow residents. We're residents just like you guys. So we want to make sure we're responsive, and we're always going to be transparent. And so that's kind of the purpose of tonight, just to kind of update you on things that we're doing on your behalf, listening to every one of you in our district and in every other district. So very quickly, on number 3, solid waste, what does that mean? If many of you that have lived in this community for a while, you all know that we used to have a landfill, down south of 50 Highway. That landfill was shut down a couple years ago. So at that point, ironically, the timing of it worked out well because we were working on the strategic planning process. So we, as a community, gathered ideas from everyone. What is the best use of that property down there where we cannot throw any more of our trash from our city in there anymore? That's been capped. Department of Natural Resources has a plan, and someday down the road, that's going to be development, believe it or not. But for now, we still have a lot of trash disposal needs as consumers, as residents. What do we do with all that? So we, as a council, have listened to what our constituents are saying, and we hear a lot, not only in our district, but throughout the entire city, that a lot of neighborhoods do not like all the extra trash trucks that are coming through our neighborhoods, along with Amazon and all the other delivery vehicles. And number one, it's dangerous because there's children walking through those streets, and buses are dropping them off before and after school, but also they're tearing our streets up. And it's very, very expensive from a public works perspective to keep up with these expenses, these costs. So one of the big kind of questions we get often is, well, what can we do about that? Like Bob's question, is that a decision that needs to be made at the HOA level in a certain neighborhood? In some cases, in many cases, like the neighborhood that I live in Oaks Ridge, we decided to use one company, which has helped with less traffic and bigger trucks in our neighborhood. In the Lakewood area, it reduces the traffic, right? And the wear and tear on the streets. But in other neighborhoods, it's not quite the case. So we as a council have taken and listened to what everyone has said throughout the city, and along with staff, city staff is going to, we're going to have a series of public meetings of which the public will be engaged and involved again to help us figure out, do we do an entire citywide solid waste plan where we have 1, 2, very limited number of trash disposal companies that we contract with for the entire city? Or do we keep it as is? Do we put it back into the HOAs to make that decision? Those are all decisions. I mean, Councilmember Rader is smart, but we can't make that decision on our own. We need everybody's input on that. And so we're gonna have these public meetings so that you all can be involved in that process to help figure out what the best solution for our city will be. And so we don't have the answers. We hope in the near future, in the next month, we're gonna start the public meetings. So look for more information to come. Look on our website and social media. Cheryl in the back there, she's a master communicator for the city. We'll get that out to all residents, including everybody in our 3rd district for sure, okay? So that's solid waste. I'll be quickly. Stormwater. I was talking to Mr. Bennett earlier. Stormwater, most of us that live in our houses, other than when it rains, if you live near a creek or live in one of the lake communities in town, we really don't notice that we have a stormwater problem in Lee Summit. And there's every district, every corner of this city has flooding problems. And I can tell you for sure on the north side we do. But in every district, and then in our older part of town, like downtown area, we have many streets that have no curbs, no gutters, or no sewer systems, public sewer systems. So that water goes into people's yards or people's basements. And so we try to address that. I can look you all in the eyes. There's not enough resources. And I know staff tries really hard to be accommodating to every neighborhood in the entire city. There's not enough resources to address the entire stormwater problem. And so we have to be strategic about that as well. And so there's more details on what the plans are. Mr. Park, is that you that can help answer some of those questions here later? We just want to cover it on a high level, but it's a real issue in our city. And so for all of you to be aware, if your neighbor maybe complains because water from your yard's going into theirs, there's probably a bigger issue somewhere down the road or up the hill. And so those are the things we want to be very responsive, and we want to listen to all of you as well. Staff is very keen of this and very aware of this, and they want to be very responsive. So those are the, on a high level, the goals that we are working on for you guys, for our district and the entire city. And we'll proceed. How about that?
I mean, these are our legislative priorities for 2025, quite extensive. And there aren't any, I mean, we've got the I-470 improvements, 3rd Street and Highway 50 improvements. We've got revising the current revenue models and methods for funding transportation. Down in revenue, we've got citizens desire local control of revenue sources. Opportunity for revenue should be fair to all. Tax legislation to protect municipal revenue. In our municipal authority, we believe that the best government is the closest to the people in local, which is land decisions, right-of-way control, eminent domain decisions, transportation and housing regulations, and to update the law to allow digital records to serve as official public records. Our local elections, municipal elections should maintain their own day, nonpartisan local. We're nonpartisan here, we don't have party lines. Current tax vote majority should be maintained and maintain current constitutional amendment authority. Beth, you want to take economic development?
So these, we use, again, not our own ideas. These are ideas that came about from all these plans that many citizens like you all have been engaged and involved with. And we just kind of weed them down and pin them down to be more specific and be more effective in how we address them. Staff deals with this every day. And we take bits and pieces of these. The I-470 real quick is something Councilmember Rader and I have been down to Jeff City within the last month, and we even went to Washington, D.C. Went to both places within a 2-week period. I think we wore our shoe soles out. But we went out there to lobby. I mean, you can't just expect our representatives from Jeff City, though we have some really good ones from our area here that represent us in Jeff City, or in Washington, D.C. Can't expect them to figure out what our problems are. So we have to go tell them, squeaky wheel, right? Who did I say that earlier too? So we go out there and we make sure that we're consistent on the message of what the needs are in our community. I-470 is a problem. Economic development. Y'all know, and I won't get into this, but there's issues with the sports complex, the Royals and the Chiefs. We're not directly involved in that, but at the same time, we have to be cognizant of what's going on over at the sports complex. And so those are things that impact our economic development activities as well, especially with the World Cup coming here next year. So Lee Summit is going to be very engaged with the World Cup. And we won't get into details. We have a table we can answer questions about that. So what they're going to do for the World Cup using the sports complex is that they're not going to allow individual vehicles to park in the parking lots. They're going to have pickup centers throughout the metro area. And Lee Summit, we're vying to be one of those pickup centers, pickup and drop-off centers that will be transported through some kind of public transportation mechanism, buses, more than likely, probably not private, to the sports complex. And so we are very engaged, our staff and us as council representatives serve on several committees that are making sure that Lee Summit is involved and participates in this process. And it's going to create economic revenue for our city. Bottom line, we got to look at it from a business perspective, and we absolutely will benefit from the World Cup, and from many perspectives. So just quickly, I mean, workforce development, we have an amazing partnership with our school systems, our higher education. Our school districts, there's 5 within the city of Lee Summit. Namely the 2 most bigger ones that we hear about often is the Lee Summit R7 and the Blue Springs R4. But there's 5 total. And then our colleges that we have, the partnerships we have with UCM, MCC, and the hospitals that we have, those create economic development opportunities for us. We have 3 major hospitals within the city limits of Lee Summit. So those create opportunities for physicians to move into this community, to buy houses, to support all these businesses that we have along Douglas and the other commercial corridors downtown Lee Summit. So we'll proceed. And we will answer any questions. We'll stick around here all night if you all want after the presentation. All right, Councilmember Rader.
Okay, we're going to talk about that.
Someone had a question about the airport. Here you go.
Okay. We have an amazing airport. You guys haven't been out by the airport. So I'm just going to make this short and sweet. Last year, we made the decision to rename our airport. There's a reason for that. We have renamed it to the Kansas City Lee Summit Regional Airport, transitioning from what you might remember as the Lee Summit Municipal Airport. There's a big difference between regional and municipal. And this new designation reflects the comprehensive services that are available to pilots now, which is quite a few, including full service fuel, a 40,000 square foot hangar 1, which is currently out there now. If you haven't driven out there, you should see it. It's amazing. A pilot's lounge, concierge services, rental cars, hotel reservation, line services, and our recently added aircraft de-icing. Now, Hangar 2, which is currently under construction, is going to be our interim terminal. It is going to be 44,000 square feet, and it is capable of handling the Gulfstream aircraft. If you guys live around Lakewood, or anybody sees the big airplanes that are flying over, those big corporate aircraft, that's what we're talking about here. And they are expected to open Hangar 2 around July or August this year. The new terminal will begin construction this summer as well. Now, Joel Arrington, who is our airport manager out there, made a comment that he might want to come up here and add on to this. But additionally, we're very thrilled about the partnership that we're going to have with the LSR7 school district for an aviation program, which is going to give these kids an opportunity to get into aeronautics, aviation. It's pretty exciting for our airport to be able to partner with our LSR7. Okay, I think we got. Is there any questions on the airport?
Can somebody like we go to the airport often? And can you go in like Hangar 1? I mean,
You can.
as an individual.
I think Joel's going to pop down here. I mean, yeah, I think so. You can go in there and they can show you around. We've Joel's been really great. He's done several presentations out there, and I've attended them, and I've learned a lot from doing that. So he does these on a pretty regular basis, and he asks any residents or pilots that want to come to listen to.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Joel Arrington, Airport Manager. So yes, the question for Hangar 1, absolutely, you can come out, you can bring your kids, grandkids out. We've got a place for them to watch airplanes. The nice thing about Hangar 2 is, we have the community interests, at stake here. And so this area from right here all the way on the second floor around the other side is going to be an observation lounge. So it'll be inside, you can come out, there'll be chairs, the kids can go up there. It's meant for the public to come out and enjoy. It's not just there for aviation and pilots and the school district. It's for the community to come out and also enjoy with their families.
I'm curious, I have two questions. With the increased usage of the airport and the size of the planes, what kind of traffic control we have? And then what is the potential for the airport to take care of all the needs of the planes in terms of the number of planes coming in and out? I mean, the longevity of the airport, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Sure. Yeah, so I'll talk about the control, and I may use some terms you might not have heard before, and this is going to sound a little strange if you're not in the aviation world. So our airport is what's called an uncontrolled airport. So there's controlled and uncontrolled. Okay. So an uncontrolled airport is basically just a airport that does not have a control tower on it. Now, as you know, the airport has gotten busier over the years. We're working as quickly as we can with the FAA to get a tower at the airport, which we think we need. So where we're at in that process is this. So we have applied for admittance into the FAA contract tower program. The FAA has responded, and we meet the minimum criteria to be in that program. So we've been kind of going through the 20-step process of getting a tower, but it's really going to boil down to this. The way a tower is, so the city is going to be responsible for the construction of the control tower. Now, once it is built, it'll be a city facility, and the FAA will pay the salaries of all the air traffic controllers and staff that will be running that facility. So I think our biggest obstacle isn't, going through the planning process or being approved. It's going to be the funding of that tower. So as far as the longevity goes, what you see up on the screen with the terminal building and Hangar 2, these two buildings aren't necessarily to meet the future demand. It's to deal with the demand that we have right now. But these buildings are going to take us a very, very long ways into the future. And I think what you'll see is other hangars being built out as a result of this project. Because one of the things that these two buildings did was it brought the infrastructure into the east side of the airport. So the water, sewer, roads, those types of amenities.
So do you anticipate even larger planes coming into the airport?
No, what you see today is what will continue to fly into the airport. Yeah, okay, sure, yeah. Go ahead.
Are there any time limitations on when people can do training missions and things? Because people that live on the north end of the airstrip, it can be very disruptive.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has gotten worse, and the last couple of months I've spent a lot of time working on what's called our Fly Friendly brochure, and that's a publication that we put out to the local pilots that says, hey, here's what we would like to see you do, and one of the things that we have said in there is, no touch and goes between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. of the night. So they can still fly, right? We can't tell somebody that they can't fly, right? But what we can start to do is limit the types of operations that they do. And so, hopefully, that'll help kind of curb some of the later night flights.
Is that an honor system though?
It is.
Touch and go, because it seems
Right.
like there's a lot of touch and go.
Sure. During the day, yes, and of an evening, you're going to see training flights. That's when a lot of people come out, after work, before work, so on and so forth. But we're trying to, be a good neighbor. Additionally, what we've done is they've normally climbed up to 1,700 feet before they turn. We've actually lowered that so that they'll turn a little bit sooner. So the goal is to try and keep them south of Woods Chapel Road as much as we can on the north side.
So let's move on. We got one more question, or we want to move on? I know the airport is an exciting thing, and there's a lot of questions on that, but that's why we have him here to be able to answer. So we're going to get going and move forward with the other things, and then we want to hear the questions. We want to be able to answer those questions. We got a lot of stuff going on in our district. Okay, we're to Discovery Park, and I'll move fairly quickly through this. So you guys have probably driven down the Summit Road and Coburn Road, and you see this giant development that's going on there. It is a giant development. As a matter of fact, it's the biggest one we've ever had in Lee Summit's a nearly $1 billion project called Discovery Park, and there's 4 phases of it. 2 phases are currently approved, and in this first 2 phases, well, there's total of the 4 phases, there'll be about 660,000 square feet of space that's going to be finished off. But basically what you're going to see there in this next, hopefully, year is we're going to have 2 new hotels, which are going to really be great to have close to the airport, and they're the Marriott Town Place and the Hilton Home 2 Suites, which is going to add another 230 rooms. Walking trails and a dog park, 585 luxury apartments. In phase 2, mostly all commercial. In phase 2, another dining shops, grocery stores, and eating establishments, all kinds of things like that. So it's what we call a P-mix, where you have residential and commercial in the same place. And so I'm going to move on to, I don't think Coburn Road, okay, you're going to go on to that. But anyway, and so we can talk more about Discovery Park, but after Beto introduces all the new land that's going to be heading our way.
We shared with you there's a lot of growth and exciting things going on in our district that are pretty significant. And the projects, the airport, which is kind of institutional, more citywide kind of a thing, it's in our district. So Cinda talked about that. Discovery Park is going to be crazy, amazing. A couple roads that connect to Discovery Park. Lee Summer Road, I spoke to a couple people earlier. Lee Summer Road, the portion that is under construction close to Lakewood area, for those of you that are not aware, is technically in Kansas City, Missouri. Okay, I think most of you know that. And so it's been like worse than pulling teeth. And I just had a tooth extracted. That was my former dentist right there. So I can really tell you, describe that feeling. It's not good. And so, but Kansas City's getting it done. They're getting it done. The first phase goes from Anderson on the most northern edge, closest to Independence, and it goes to Woods Chapel. I'm sorry, it goes to Lakewood Boulevard. So that phase, which was the most dangerous phase, is currently under construction, moving really slow, but they promised us that it will be ready by January of 2026. So good or bad, that's what we're working with. I also we confirmed that the remaining phase that goes towards the hospital on Woods Chapel will be completed a year and a half after that. Will be completed. So the entire zoning, the entire route will be as nice as it is in Lee Summit, and Independence did a good job with their part as well. So that's that. Colburn Road that connects with Discovery Park on the south side will also be completed by September. Is that right, Mr. Dunning?
Yes, it's September.
September.
Yes.
So I know people have been asking about that. That's been shut down for a while as well. But yes, this year. Lee Summit is working on that, not Kansas City. So yes, I believe him.
2 words, utilities and railroad.
Yes. Yes. A lot of logistics we have to work around. But those are 2 major roads that are being repaired and they will be done. So for you all.
Beto, if I might add
Yes,
to that a little bit, I wanted to just tell you I think this is pretty cool because they're going to be, of course, there's going to be dedicated turn lanes there. Shared use path, sidewalks, a new bridge will be constructed to accommodate both bicycles and pedestrians crossing over the Union Pacific Railroad. And you already said when it's scheduled to be done. And they're working on it pretty hard right now.
Yep, they're moving. They're moving quicker than the other project. Okay, so you all know, we talked about this before if you came last year. The PRI land, or now they go by SLR, that's the Mormon Church ground. In our district, it's the land between Woods Chapel along 291, on the east side of 291, to Colburn. That entire piece of ground, for the most part, is owned by the church. And so for years, they've just really not done anything with it. A couple years ago, they went ahead and announced that they were going to go ahead and put it on the market, and they have. And so they work closely with the city, with our planning department, and there's a lot of infrastructure challenges with that land. There's no sewers, water lines. And so we're also helping with the city and working with our state and federal representatives to try to get some infrastructure resources to help us with some of those improvements. Todd George will be improved to a 4-lane road, but that won't happen for a couple years as well. But it involves a total of 1,100 acres on this side, and there's another few thousand acres on the south side of Lee Summit down near Raintree, so along 291. So, but the church and the developers have agreed they're going to sell the portion on the north side and develop that first. So they're going to start off selling those parcels. You'll probably start seeing, hearing information about people that potentially will be using these parcels. This space here, it's right here, falls within what we call the comprehensive land use plan that we talked about, as far as the mixed use of the space. So it will involve commercial, probably some light industrial, mixed use, probably some office, and people on the north side always are asking about more restaurant opportunities. Well, hopefully we'll get some there at this location. But we've had a lot of interest from private developers that are going to purchase the ground from the church, and they will develop the initial expansions. They're going to sell them what they call in tranches. How big are the tranches
For that area?
for this?
836 acres, I think, is already out there.
Yeah, so that's on the market and will be developed in the next 5 to 10 years. So without getting too deep in the weeds on that, it will involve some residential housing. You know, I don't know if it could be that affordable level that we want, but it will have mixed-use housing there. And it's pretty exciting for our for the north part of town. All right. Have you guys kept up with downtown? Downtown Lee Summit. I've had other mayors from other parts of the metro area on the Kansas side that love coming to Lee Summit downtown, just because what it is now currently. This Green Street project, it's the block that is directly to the east of City Hall, okay, on Green Street. And so it's between 2nd and 3rd Street. It's an entire city block that the city's been working on for how long? A long time. Yes, along with the downtown Lee Summit group that has put a lot of sweat and hard work to making sure our downtown is beautiful and safe and all that. Well, this project it will be up and going. We're going to have a ribbon cutting in August of this year.
End of July right now?
End of July. So everybody needs to come out. But it's got tons of art, as you can tell there. There's City Hall here on the left. On the right is the farmer's market. You know, people in Lee Summit have been wanting a true devoted space for a true farmer's market. And we have one. We're going to have one built. This is the entire site. So again, City Hall, parking garage, City Hall here. The corner, we call them pad sites, will have restaurant and some entertainment kind of components. On 2nd Street, we're going to have, for right now, planned hotel, boutique hotel. But this Green Street has been shut off and will be family friendly. You know, a lot of activity for our children to come and hang out and save kind of playground equipment. The market right here itself, the structure itself was the total square footage.
I want to say 17,000.
17,000 square foot actual farmer's market space that will have multiple uses when it's not being used as a farmer's market for civic kind of activities, private events. In the middle is a beautiful courtyard that will be used also potentially year-round for outdoor. I call it like a mini, not to compare to other parts of the metro area, but like a mini Power and Light, somewhat. But it's an area that all of us as citizens and anyone that wants to come in and spend money in our city can congregate and enjoy year-round. So that's very, very exciting. And so that's coming, and we'll be ready to go towards the end of the summer. So hopefully you all can come out and enjoy it as well. I think that's it. All right. So we will take a couple questions, a couple questions, and then our department heads are in the back. You see them all back there standing up. They're ready to go. Chief, are you ready? All right, I got the thumbs up. So actually,
Who are our department heads? Let's introduce them.
So as we have them introduce themselves, Cinda and I will also remain up here and answer any specific questions that anyone has, okay? But Mark, do you want to have the department heads?
Sure, I know we're being videoed here, so Josh, do you want me to go back there?
Swing around.
You can swing around. Okay, I'll take the mic back. Again, Mark Dunning, City Manager. I'll be at the administration section. We see
Donna Lake, Assistant City Manager.
Scott Reddy, Project Manager. Good evening, Joe Snook, Administrator with the Parks and Recreation Department. And I did not do it. Looks like a police light up here. They said it was a woman with black hair.
In the library with a candlestick. Amy Nassif, Interim Director of Development.
Shannon McGuire, Planning Manager.
Jeff Thorne, Director of Water Utilities. Yeah, good evening, Michael Park, Director of Public Works.
Joel Arrington, Airport Manager.
Mike Snyder, Fire Chief.
Alex Walker, Captain with the Police Department.
We are not directors. We were told to be here by our chief. He is a director. So, I'm Josh Patterson. I'm a captain with the police department as well.
I see many familiar faces out there. Don Bennett, Assistant Director of Customer Care, Water Utilities.
Okay, so thank you. They are super friendly people. Go back there and talk to them. They will talk to any of you about any questions you have related to their respective areas of the city. couple of reminders, we have these cards. They're up here. You guys have not eaten any snacks. There's some really healthy cookies, I think, and water. And also, Cinda and I have our business cards on that table there. So feel free to take any cards you want. Yes, yes, ma'am. Yeah, so it's a great question. And so she's asking 291 and 50 Highway, the interchange, where Lee Summit High School is that what you're talking about? Yeah, and there's a quick trip on one side. Mr. Dunning's itching to talk about it. But that is a cool project. It's very exciting. I'll let him talk about it.
So just recently, the Missouri State Highway Patrol has moved into their new headquarters, right up here on Coburn by MoDOT. So that's occurred, and Highway Patrol will eventually, that building will eventually be demolished, right? So the where we're at with that interchange project is what we call right-of-way acquisition, so that we can realign some of those. Blue Parkway will be realigned further away from the interchange. So you go through property acquisition for right-of-way. Design plans are already pretty well set. You've seen some physical activity there with some trees that were removed, right? There's some bats that you have to have trees down by April because otherwise you can't cut down trees. So there's a lot of sequencing that goes on with this project. So you will start to see some more physical activity probably towards the end of summer in that area. But that's still a full go for that new interchange there.
Thank you. Okay, 2 more questions. Go for it.
When are we going to fix the Coburn Library?
Yes.
Well, why don't again, in the interest of time, they're there.
Let him give a quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's the man in the know.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Go there on a weekly basis. Or more. You can't get in and out of Coburn Library because of how they've done roads.
I'll take the tip of the spear on this one. Mr. Park wasn't involved in a meeting that occurred today on that project. But first thing we want to say is that's a developer-controlled improvement, right? Because those improvements are coming because of additional private development in that area. So that it's developer-controlled, developer-constructed. Having said that, right, it's come through our approval processes, and at the end of the day, what's occurring right now is the sequencing of those traffic improvements, those road improvements, didn't really come to fruition like we had thought that the developer would put these in. That's creating the concern. So it's a private negotiation between the library and the developer to get the necessary easements to get that resolved. Okay, and so there was a meeting that was held on that today to figure out where are we at, how quick can we get this done. So that meeting occurred today, and we're hopeful that a breakthrough will occur and that access will be improved. So I wanted to mention that. Michael wasn't part of that meeting today, but that occurred today. You want to fill in some gaps here?
Sure, I appreciate that update, and I also appreciate all your frustration with regard to that. We feel that too, is because we don't have any contractual relationship with the improvements that are going on. We didn't design them, but we did approve them. And so the vision, and I think this is what's most important, is the library's driveway will move. That's why they need to work with the developer to grant some easements. They will also be adding another driveway to the library from the new road that was constructed, and that new road will have a traffic signal. So you'll have multiple full access points into the library. It was our initial impression that those access points would have been built before the median's restricted access that currently exists. That's what Mr. Dunning was talking about. Things were built out of sequence that really was beyond our control, and now we're trying to get that rectified as a, if you will, kind of a negotiator or broker between the developer and the library.
When?
We know that once these easements are in place, which they should, quite honestly, I'll just be frank, they should have been in place already. And then is it 3 weeks, Scott?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks from when we get the easements in place. So it's a short construction to get the access back. It's private negotiation that we're trying to kick them along, right?
I'll just say the only other part to when it will all be done, hopefully within 3 weeks of getting those easements recorded, as Mr. Dunning just said, the driveways will all be relocated so the access restored to the library. But the completion of all the improvements, the traffic signal I mentioned, is still several months later. They haven't yet even got approved plans for that signal to be installed, but it is a condition that the mayor and city council approved with that convenience store that's going in to the west of the library.
Will you be able to go across Rice Road, north to south?
I'm sorry, we've got two people going on, so let's.
If we can kind of, the gentleman back in the back had a question.
North to south on Rice Road across Colburn there to the west of the library, will that be open under these conditions?
No, that's a permanent median. That's the reason why a new north-south road has been built to the east, because it requires traffic signal control. It's too congested and too close to the interchange where it's already got a traffic signal there at 291 and Colburn Road. And so they had to move the road further away where they could install signals to manage the intersection and the volume of traffic on Colburn. So those were the safety improvements necessary to support the convenience store that's coming in. And the convenience store isn't the only development in that area. There's a lot of other approved development that's happening on the north side of Colburn Road all around the library.
So we'll move on from the road questions. If there's other questions, we'll entertain a couple more questions, different topic. If you have specific questions, Mr. Park will be in the back to answer your question. Or we'll be up here to answer your question. Full transparency. Okay, any other questions for a different topic?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Beautiful questions about beautification.
First, thank you. It is some exciting time to be living here. Thank you for your work. Exit 14, Lakewood Boulevard, Bowling Road. To be frank, it's unsightly and it has been for years and years. And it's not a good representative of all the community, the homes, the businesses, the lake that surround it. I'm afraid that maybe it falls into almost like that same zone of the trash. Maybe I don't know if it's city or MoDOT, but what do we need to do to try to get something done to that? Secondly, I feel like that there's a lot of urgency for Lakewood Way that connects to that with all the extra stuff that's coming. I currently can't walk Summit Grill or First Watch or walk there safely as it is anyway. So I think the traffic's going to increase, so it's twofold. To beautify that exit with some sidewalks, to emphasize how bad it is, the lights, the traffic lights are still swinging on cables. Weeds under the bridges, there's no sidewalks. It's just, yeah, it's not representative of everything around it.
I completely agree with you. I was driving through there yesterday that noticed that as well.
Yeah, and we have
So,
our beautiful Lee Summit sign right there.
right.
Too.
So we're not brushing it off, but MoDOT controls the overpasses and bridges. So that's kind of one of the big hurdles that we're not going to stop there. Part of like what we talked about earlier, kind of big project, big scale kind of initiatives we're working on is improving 291 470 from Colburn, the stretch that comes around where Colburn is under the Colburn Bridge, all the way towards I-70. That's a mess, and that's very dangerous. So that involves those bridges. And so absolutely all those should be addressed when we can get the right resources to repair those.
In the meantime, which we'll do next week,
Now, if I could, what we can and are controlling is what happens on Lakewood Way. So on Lakewood Way, we talked about this last year as part of the is it public safety sales tax? No tax increase that you all as voters, all of us as voters approved. There was road improvements, infrastructure improvements that we as a council decided which were higher priority for safety reasons. Number one, accessibility. A new fire station there on Lakewood Way. They need to have better access to get through that whole area, navigate through that whole area. So I will tell you, from Colburn, as I said earlier, Todd George will be improved to 2 lanes on each side from Colburn, and because of that no tax increase referendum, we have put on the CIP list, capital improvement list that we have, that the city has, as a priority to happen in the next 3 to 5 years.
Michael would be able to tell us when,
It's on the list to be improved.
So you're saying from Woods Chapel on Lakewood Way, from Woods Chapel to Lakewood Boulevard?
Yes, what's already been approved is from Colburn to Woods Chapel, and then because of this no tax increase referendum, yes, from Woods Chapel all the way to Independence.
Yes, so we will be, as Mayor Pro Tem Lopez had mentioned, there's a capital improvement project in multiple phases. So you got Todd George from Colburn to Woods Chapel, that would widen it much like Todd George Parkway is south of Colburn. Then continuing the improvements in kind of this sequence of Lakewood Way, all the way up to Bolin Road, and then from Bolin Road up to our northern city limits. The portion between Woods Chapel and Bolin Road is kind of like phase 2. Right now, we're targeting that improvement to be around 2028. That's when we have actually secured some federal funding to help assist in the payment of that, which takes your tax dollars further towards another project. And the general scope of the Lakewood Way improvements is to add turn lanes for safety, add lighting, add the shared use path, sidewalk, those kind of amenities that you're speaking to.
And not to put you on the spot, but the question about the overpass.
So yeah, the overpass and underpass, and many people don't understand the ownership and jurisdiction issues, but those are all state. And like Mayor Pro Tem Lopez and Councilmember Rader had mentioned, we have to prioritize our asks of the state. And our ask, our primary number one is I-470. And that goes from our northern city all the way up to 40 Highway or I-70, all the way through Lee Summit to 50 Highway. The rest of that interchange, it needs improvement. It's got span wire signals hanging on cables. That's all MoDOT's infrastructure. Everything under their highways is MoDOT's infrastructure. From ramp to ramp, or in the case of other interchanges like 3rd Street, it goes beyond the ramps. It goes to the outer roads that are fronting the highways. That's all state controlled, and really they have a non-delegable duty to maintain that, so we can't step in. It's not the cities. We can be financial partners and have projects like 29150 in partnership and agreement with MoDOT, but we have to be pretty selective in what we prioritize as our needs for the community with regard to the state.
So underpass does mean the intersection of the off-ramp and on.
It does, yeah. Everything under, they basically, they're the landowner for the entire interchange area, and everything that intersects that area, that's their infrastructure.
And I say this respectfully, but the prioritization that you were referring to, it's clear that this has been bumped for 10 years at least. How do we make sure that that doesn't keep getting down on the priority?
Which part?
Just the exit itself. I mean,
Well, once again, the exit itself is not controlled. Yeah.
You know, you have to pick your priorities. I understand. How do we go about getting that on the state's priority?
And I can assure you, this gentleman here and his
He's
team.
been squeaking that wheel.
Yes,
for some time.
they are on MoDOT.
But I think it's certainly okay for our citizens to squeak the wheel of
Email
MoDOT as
MoDOT
well.
directly.
Exactly.
Yes. And please believe me, I said that earlier. I know personally, she and I, again, wore out our souls in Jeff City and in DC talking about that corridor. So that's high on our list. High on our list, yes.
Back to the library. What about the fire department, how does it get out there when they got dividers in the middle of the road?
Chief, will you answer that question if he comes back?
Yeah.
You can only turn right.
We have emergency access over that median right now. It's drivable for emergency services.
If you notice the median that's put in there, there's a red painted stripe down, so it's not as high of a curve there. That was intentional so that we maintain fire department access through that area.
Okay. They are eagerly waiting to talk to you guys about any of these questions. We will stand up here as well. Thank you again very much. We appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much for coming.